Welcome to the Instagram stories for Monday, March 27th. I'm your host, Daniel Hill. We're going to do Masari Monday today, don't worry. But I really feel like the biggest news of the day is the TikTok CEO appearing before the Congressional Hearing Board to talk about TikTok and the security reasons around it. I overall think the CEO, Shou Chew, did a really good job. I think that's a really tough concept to explain to people who are not technical, who don't understand all the nuances, and I think personally he made some really good points. Here's a clip of him explaining some of the security perspectives that the Congressional Hearing Board needs to keep in mind.
I don't think ownership is the issue here. With a lot of respect, American social companies don't have a good track record with data privacy and user security. I mean, look at Facebook and Cambridge Analytica, just one example. So I do think that, it is not about the ownership. It is a lot about making sure we have Project Texas, making sure that we're protecting and firewalling U.S. user data from unwanted foreign access, giving third parties to come in to have a look at this, and making sure that everybody is comfortable. We're giving transparency and third-party monitoring, and that's what we're doing for Project Texas.
Okay, a little bit of context on that clip. First, Project Texas is the effort that TikTok is making to ensure that the data for U.S. users stays in the United States. That's an ongoing project that's been for at least a year at this point, but it's not complete yet. Having said that, he pointed out, correctly so, that just because the data is in the United States doesn't mean that it's any more secure. Look at Facebook and what happened at Cambridge Analytica, and he is 100% right in saying that. Of course, Mark Zuckerberg has been grilled by the Congressional Hearing Board the same way, so, everyone's had to go through this at some point, but personally, I think he really made some great points. Okay, let's dive into Masari Monday. The first question we're going to dive into today has to do with whether or not you use a third-party tool to edit your videos before you post them as Reels. Obviously, creating a video on TikTok and downloading it with the TikTok watermark and posting it on Instagram is going to inhibit your reach. I've seen videos that have the TikTok watermark that have had amazing reach, so whatever, I'm not going to get into that whole side of things. But generally, the consensus is edit inside of Instagram for the best results. However, editing inside Instagram is not always the best way to get a really great looking video. Personally, I recommend Capcut as an editing software because it can do a lot of things that the Instagram app can't do. It's a real editing software, which the Instagram app is not. The question, is it true that my Reels get downgraded if I use third-party tools like Capcut?
If you use a third-party tool to make a reel and then post it to Instagram, it will not get downranked unless it is watermarked. If there's a logo superimposed on top of it, regardless of what that logo is, it will be recommended less in places like Explore and Recommendations and Feed.
Okay, there you have it. Don't use the watermark. We're all fighting for any reach that we can get. Don't do things that are going to make it worse, and that seems like the biggest offender. Next question. Is reach lower when you post twice a day? I really like this one because Instagram wants you to post like 6 times a day, as if you're doing nothing else with your life.
Not necessarily. We do hear often from creators that if they do post a feed twice in a given day, they see less reach per post. But my guess is that that is your followers being less interested in the second post, because we definitely don't do anything on our side to downrank something just because it was more recently posted since a previous post.
I agree with his assessment. Okay, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to talk about how many reels, photos, videos, stories, all that stuff you should post per week, and how many hashtags should you use in your posts. So stick around.
This episode is brought to you by Michigan Economic Development Corporation. In Michigan, you can have both a rewarding career and a quality lifestyle, with plentiful career opportunities in world-changing, innovating industries, from electric vehicles to clean energy to biotech, with room for advancement no matter where you are in your career. Plus, Michigan offers a welcoming, beautiful, affordable, and inclusive community for all. Live your best life. You can in Michigan. Visit themichiganlife.org.
And we're back. Next question. How many reels, photos, stories should I post every week? Instagram's answer is going to be 100, a million, a bajillion, as many as humanly possible, and then add 100 more. That's just what they say.
No magic rules here. In general, I think Stories are great for behind the scenes type stuff, so I try to post a couple stories a day, and then feeds more like a couple times a week. But again, it's got to be aligned with what you want to say and with what you want to get out of Instagram as a platform. And that could be posting once a month, that could be posting twice a day. It depends on what you're trying to get done.
I failed to see how posting more helps you get that done, but I still haven't cracked that nut yet. Next question, how many hashtags should I use in my posts? Here's his answer.
Hashtags will not significantly change your reach, but it is a good practice to use them when appropriate. If it's aligned with what you're trying to say and they're very clearly associated with the content, do a handful. Don't do a ton. When you see 50 hashtags, 100 hashtags, it's not helping. If anything, it's probably just annoying people.
When it comes to hashtags, I continue to recommend Hashtag Slayer. I think overall it's a great tool. If you get a lot of spam comments or you get a lot of spam followers, I am willing to bet that it's because of the hashtags that you're using. And Hashtag Slayer is a tool that I continue to recommend. If you want to talk more about that, maybe I should do a separate episode on why I think you're getting spam followers and spam comments because you're using hashtags that have millions and millions of posts and the spam bots are looking for those hashtags. I could talk about that for hours. I'm not going to, but I definitely recommend that tool. And the last question we're going to talk about today, did polls get removed from channels? Polls didn't get removed from channels. That's one of the best parts about having a channel. Here's his answer.
Not that I know of. Channels are still new, and so there might be a couple bugs to work out, but if you're seeing that, let me know. But I still see polls in my channels, so I will double check.
Okay, that's going to do it for the question and answers. Now I'm going to start a new segment where we talk about some of the reviews that I've received for this podcast. I work very hard on this. Obviously, I don't have the availability to do it every single day. Life happens. I don't have a team. It's just me. But I do work really hard because I enjoy creating this content. And also, generally, those of you who listen are very nice. However, the reality is not all the reviews I've gotten of this show are great. And so I wanted to share one of the reviews that I received so that this way you could understand sometimes what it's like to get these reviews. Here's a review I received about this show.
Name is misleading. This doesn't show you Instagram stories. It's just a podcast.
Are you also wondering how someone thought that I could show them Instagram stories through an audio mechanism? I wonder that all the time too. But that was a review that got me 1 star. That's going to do it for today's show. Thank you so much for listening. Be sure to come back tomorrow for more Instagram, TikTok news, social media strategy, and other important stuff.
Instagram news got you covered, sometimes even TikTok. Relevant platforms in the metaverse ahead of the wave. Without a break or a pit stop, still waiting for Zuckerberg to give me the big job. Pause. Use trademarks and logos with Insta's permission, of course. If you like the show and gain some good info, maybe leave a review. It's a type of applause. Just drop me a message if you want to collab. If you've got some good content or you want to run ads, at Daniel Hill Media is where I am. TikTok, Facebook and Instagram.